Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. I walk into the plush, imposing office of my boss a few minutes before our scheduled Monday meeting. I'm ready to discuss the quarter's earnings and my ideas for the next campaign. My hand rests on the ornate doorknob, turning it gently, the familiar click of the latch giving way. What I expect is a quiet office, perhaps my boss poring over his notes. What I find instead nearly stops my heart. The scene before me unfolds like a slow, torturous revelation. It's not my boss who greets me from his usual throne-like leather chair, but rather Sarah, my wife of 7 years. Her presence here, in this context, is as shocking as it is inexplicable. Her startled eyes meet mine, wide with a mix of fear and guilt. "What the Sarah?" My voice breaks the silence, sharp and disbelieving. She starts to stutter out an explanation, scrambling to straighten her blouse. "James, it's not what?" But her words trail off into nothingness as I notice movement from beneath the desk. A second later, my boss, Richard, emerges. His face is flushed, his hair a mess. The realization hits me harder than a freight train. My boss is on his knees, and my wife, the woman I trust more than anyone else in the world, is clearly involved in something unspeakable with him. "James," Richard exclaims, attempting to regain some of his usual authoritative composure as he stands, straightening his tie. "This isn't a..." "Save it," I cut him off, my voice a mixture of anger and disbelief. I can't manage to string together a coherent sentence. Betrayal and humiliation churn inside me like a storm. Richard holds up his hands, as if to ward off the accusation evident in my eyes. "Let's talk about this. It's not what you think." But I don't want to hear any excuses. Not now. The sight before me speaks louder than any pitiful justification they could muster. My mind races, thoughts jumbled and erratic. A plan begins to form amidst the chaos of my emotions, a plan of revenge. Not just a fleeting thought of retribution, but a calculated, meticulous strategy to make them pay for this treachery. Talk. No. There's nothing to talk about, I say, my voice eerily calm despite the turmoil inside. I turn to Sarah, who now looks small, almost pitiful in the expansive leather chair. "I hope he was worth it," I add, the words tasting bitter on my tongue. Sarah's eyes fill with tears, her earlier composure crumbling. "James, please. Let me explain." I hold up a hand to stop her. "No. I've seen enough." I turn on my heel and leave the office, the heavy door slamming shut behind me with a sound that echoes down the corridor. As I step into the elevator, my mind is already turning over the details of my plan. They think today is just another Monday, but it's the beginning of their downfall. I will destroy everything they hold dear, just as they did to me. But first I need proof. Evidence that will not only expose their deceit but shatter their world completely. The elevator dings, its doors opening to the lobby. As I step out into the morning light, the pieces of my plan fall into place. I'll need help, and I know just who to call. My first stop will be the office of an old friend who now specializes in corporate law. Someone who can help me navigate the treacherous waters I'm about to wade into. As I drive away from what used to be a place of security and success, a dark determination settles over me. They have no idea what's coming for them, and by the time they realize, it will be far too late. The city hums around me as I drive, the familiar sights blurring into a backdrop for my turbulent thoughts. The betrayal feels like a raw wound, but every mile I put between myself and the office sharpens my focus on what needs to be done. I'm not just going to roll over and let them get away with this. I pull up outside a glass-fronted building, sleek and modern. It's here, in this maze of legal enterprises, that Martin Price works. He's not only a seasoned corporate lawyer but also a college friend whose loyalty I've never had to question. Stepping into the cool, air-conditioned lobby, I make my way to the reception where a young woman greets me with a professional smile. "I have an appointment with Martin Price," I inform her, my voice steady despite the storm inside. "Just a moment, Mr. Moore," she replies, her fingers flying over the keyboard. After a brief pause, she gestures towards the elevators. "You can go right up, sir. He's expecting you." Martin's office is a stark contrast to the sleek minimalism of the lobby. The walls are lined with bookshelves, each filled with legal volumes and personal memorabilia that speak of a life rich in experience and success. "James, What a surprise, Martin exclaims as he stands to greet me. His handshake is firm, his concern evident in his eyes. What brings you here looking like you're ready to wage war? Without preamble, I dive into the events of the morning, my words clipped and charged with anger. Martin listens silently, his expression turning grave. This is serious, James, but if you're thinking of taking this to court or getting them fired, you'll need solid proof. What you saw is compelling, but it's not enough. I nod, my mind racing. I was thinking of hiring a private investigator, someone who can dig up whatever dirt Richard and Sarah are hiding. Martin agrees with a thoughtful nod. I know just the person, Lena Carter. She's discreet, thorough, and has a knack for uncovering things people want to keep buried. Minutes later, I'm on the phone with Lena, arranging a meeting. She has a no-nonsense tone that reassures me. We agree to meet at a cafe across the city in an hour. The cafe is bustling with the lunchtime crowd when I arrive. Lena is already there, a woman in her 40s with sharp eyes and a demeanor that commands attention. We shake hands and I dive straight into the details. We need to find everything. Emails, messages, financial anomalies, anything that shows misconduct or personal entanglements that could explain their behavior, I tell her, my voice low. Lena nods, jotting down notes. I'll start with a deep dive into their professional and personal lives. It might take some time, but if there's something there, I'll find it. As we part ways, a sense of action replaces some of my initial shock. Driving back, I can't help but think about the upcoming storm I'm about to unleash. But there's no turning back now. This isn't just about revenge, it's about reclaiming my life and dignity. And I will go to any lengths necessary to see justice served. The next few days are a blur of activity. Each morning, I wake with a singular purpose to see this through, no matter the cost. Lena's updates become the pulse of my day, each call infusing new energy into my resolve. I'm sitting in my home office when the phone rings. It's Lena, her voice tinged with the excitement of discovery. James, you might want to sit down for this, she begins, and I straighten in my chair, my grip tightening on the phone. We've struck gold in Richard's financials. There are irregularities that suggest he's been funneling company funds into a private account. And guess whose name pops up as a beneficiary alongside his? Sarah. The room spins slightly as her words sink in. It's worse than I thought. Do we have proof? Documents, I ask, my voice a steady calm that belies the storm raging inside. Yes, I've secured copies of bank statements and emails between him and the bank manager. It's not just a fling, James. They were planning something bigger. Much bigger, Lena explains, her tone serious. I lean back, absorbing the weight of her words. Keep digging, Lena. We need everything. Anything that can link them beyond a doubt. As I hang up, my mind races with the implications of this discovery. This isn't just about a personal betrayal anymore, it's a full-blown corporate scandal. 2 days later, I'm pacing in my living room when Martin calls. James, with this evidence, we can not only file for a personal grievance, but also initiate a corporate audit through the board. It might be time to bring this to the company's attention. Let's do it, I say without hesitation. Set up the meeting. It's time they both answered for what they've done. The day of the board meeting feels like walking into battle. The high-rise building looms above, steel and glass reflecting the gray sky. Inside, the boardroom fills with the company's top executives, their faces masks of professionalism. Richard and Sarah are already there, whispering to each other. They pause as I enter, their expressions shifting to confusion and then concern. I take my seat across from them, my folders of evidence neatly stacked in front of me. The meeting begins with routine business, but the atmosphere is charged, a current of tension running beneath the surface. Finally, Martin stands, clearing his throat. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to address a serious breach of trust and potential criminal activity within our ranks. All eyes turn to him as he lays out the evidence, documents projected on the screen behind him. Bank statements, emails, even surveillance photos, nothing is left out. Richard's face drains of color, his eyes darting to Sarah, who looks equally trapped. This is ridiculous, Richard finally bursts out, standing abruptly. These accusations are baseless. You have no right. I have every right, I interrupt, my voice calm but firm. You betrayed my trust, Richard. And you, I turned to Sarah, you broke our vows. This is far from baseless. We have all the evidence we need. The room is silent, the board members exchanging looks of disbelief and dismay. We will need to conduct a full audit and investigation, the chairman announces, his voice grave. Richard, Sarah, you are suspended, effective immediately, pending the outcome of this inquiry. As they leave the room, escorted by security, I remain seated, feeling the weight of my actions. This is just the beginning. The road to justice will be long and fraught, but I am ready for whatever comes next. This battle may be won, but the war is far from over. The days following the board meeting are tense and charged with whispered rumors and sidelong glances whenever I walk through the company halls. The internal audit into Richard and Sarah's actions is in full swing, with the legal and financial teams sifting through every transaction, every decision made under Richard's leadership. But amid the corporate chaos, my personal life crumbles into silence. Sarah's calls go unanswered, her texts unread. The woman I had loved is now a stranger, her image tainted by the shadow of her betrayal. As I sit in my office late one evening, trying to piece together the remnants of my career, a knock on my door jolts me from my thoughts. It's Lena, and she looks different. There's a gravity to her expression that immediately sets me on edge. "James, we need to talk," she says, her voice low. She holds up a manila folder, thick with papers. It's about the investigation. I gesture for her to sit, my stomach tightening with anxiety. What's wrong? Did they find something else? Lena takes a deep breath, placing the folder on my desk. Not exactly. When we dug deeper, we found anomalies not just with Richard and Sarah, but a pattern that implicates more than just them. She flips open the folder, revealing bank statements, emails, and documents that trace a web of deceit far more complex and entrenched than I had imagined. My eyes scan the evidence, and a cold realization dawns on me. This goes beyond Richard and Sarah. You're saying this involves other senior executives? That this is an organized scheme? Yes, and there's more. Lena hesitates, then continues. Sarah was trying to expose it. She got close to Richard to gather evidence. She knew you'd catch them. I reel back, my mind struggling to comprehend her words. Are you saying Sarah was? She was trying to help. Lena nods. She planned to bring you the evidence, but you walked in before she could explain. She was using her position to gain information. The world seems to tilt, my heart pounding loudly in my ears. All this time, I had seen her as the villain, the architect of my pain, when in fact, she was fighting a hidden battle. Before I can process this revelation, my phone buzzes. It's the company chairman, asking me to come to an emergency board meeting. As I stand, Lena places a hand on my arm. What will you do? I need to hear her out. I need the truth from Sarah herself. At the board meeting, the air is thick with tension. Richard is there, his demeanor one of defiance. Sarah is also present, looking worn but resolute. As I enter, our eyes meet, and there's a flicker of something like relief in hers. The chairman wastes no time. Given the new evidence, it's clear we are dealing with extensive corruption at the highest levels of this company. However, there's a twist involving Mrs. Sarah Moore's role. The room turns to her, and Sarah stands, her voice steady. Yes, I was gathering evidence against Richard and others involved. I couldn't tell James because it would have jeopardized the entire operation. I didn't know, I say, my voice breaking with a mixture of regret and relief. I thought. You thought wrong, Richard interjects, bitter. She played you just like she played all of us. Sarah's gaze on Richard is icy. No, I was trying to save our company, even if it meant risking my marriage. The chairman nods solemnly. The board has decided to reinstate Sarah in her role, given her intentions and bravery. As for Richard and the others implicated, they will face criminal charges. As the meeting disperses, Sarah approaches me, her expression uncertain. James, I should have trusted you, I interrupt, the weight of my misjudgments heavy on my shoulders. Can we start over? Can we try to fix this? Sarah smiles, a tear sliding down her cheek. I'd like that very much. We leave the boardroom together, not as enemies or strangers, but as two people bound by a shared desire for redemption and a new beginning, ready to face whatever challenges might come with honesty and trust, unwavering this time.